A young girl of 12 was lured by trafficking agents and groomed to believe that she was special by letting her hear things that made her feel good. And the visible changes in her looks and behavior, it screamed of red flags. And the timely intervention of Seeds of Awareness, an NGO that I work with in comprehensive sexuality education, prevented her from unknowingly being swept away into a debauched world. Now, it was during this program with young adolescents that she was empowered to understand the situation and consequently make informed choices. And relating this to my kids, then 20 and 22, at that time, and they just exclaimed, "Mom, what an awesome job you are doing to make a difference." That validation meant the world to me, as I am able to do what I do only because through their growing up years, I had taken the decision to be a stay-at-home mom. Now, how did I arrive at that decision? It was really simple, really. Having kids is a natural phenomenon, and it also prevents the extinction of our species. But having kids is still a choice. And I was always of the belief, even when I was single, that, kids do not ask to be born. And therefore, till they are old enough to fly, we owe them a responsibility to be there for them, especially in their formative years. I was also of the view that although nurturing is done by both parents, one of them had to be a constant in their lives. And, I wanted to be that constant. But one can be very idealistic in your beliefs. And in reality, it's a different story. So how did my decision to stay home with the kids sit with me? Did I struggle with it? Yes, of course I did. See, I was married on my return from the US, and I just earned my PhD in microbial physiology and genetics. And after a brief stint of lecturing at Xaviers College, I got pregnant. And I decided to quit work. And I heard a lot of, what a waste. Not from my husband, but from family and friends. And it bothered me when people would ask me if that's all that I do. And I got myself wondering if after being so highly qualified, was it really worth giving up a good career and, investing in family instead? Was I really, wasting my life just producing babies and keeping house and actually perpetuating the stereotype of the woman? Being a full-time mom, you don't have time to think about yourself. You catch yourself thinking, when will this end, or will it ever end? And I'm sure many of you have been there. Did it tire me? Yes, it did. Did it get mundane? Sometimes, yes. And did I need a break? Most definitely. And although the choice to be at home was mine, I was sucked into feeling the need to conform to what others expected of me. And it took me a while, but once I embraced the fact that, the doctorate was what I did for myself and not to prove anything to the world, looking back, I see that I was not just a stay-at-home mom. I may have not used the detailed content of my PhD, but I am so grateful for those 6 years that built up my knowledge, my confidence, my resilience, patience, and most importantly, it introduced me to my passion for teaching. All of which not only helped in my investment in empowering the lives of 2 human beings who are now able to give back responsibly to the world, but also the lives of many kids in India. And this is something I had not planned for, but it just happened along the way. So my 20s were filled with academia, and that gave way to my 30s, where I focused on parenting. But with it, I also focused on another side of motherhood, and that was myself, with no guilt attached. I delved into areas of my life that made me happy, that honed my skills and talents and gave me the opportunity to continue to learn and to meet new people. And that gave me a break from the house and the kids. My husband's work included a lot of travel, especially when the kids were young. And he was a very hands-on father, parented alongside me, always agreeing with me in front of the kids and leaving our disagreements too behind closed doors. And I was really plain lucky that all through my 30s, when I was home with the kids, he was very aware of the fact that I needed to be my own person. And he would be so excited about all the opportunities that came my way, and at times even more excited than me. Juggling motherhood and other roles that women play of wife and daughter-in-law can be quite an ask without drowning. So my husband and I had a few practices that, we made into rituals. Every year, I took a 2 to 3 week holiday on my own. It was me time. And my husband would take leave and he would be great with the kids in his own way, not mine. And I wouldn't even call home. Was that heartless and irresponsible? I don't think so. I focused on the break, which was important for me, rather than be worried about, the routines that I had set for the kids or the house that were not being followed. So out of sight, out of mind, with calls only if there was an emergency. Thank goodness there were no emergencies. And you know what? It worked. My kids are fine. They're not scarred. My husband and kids got a break from me. And when we all came back together again, we appreciated each other even more. Now, this is a practice I recommend to all mothers, that they should make it mandatory or negotiate for it in their lives, but without feeling guilty. And a second ritual that we religiously kept ourselves free on a Tuesday for date night. It would involve a movie or a walk or just a after dinner coffee at a neighborhood cafe where we could talk about anything uninterrupted except home, kids, family, and staff issues. And these date nights too come highly recommended and important for 2 reasons. We all evolve as people, and we also evolve in our relationships as a couple. And when kids are involved, we focus on them and are more consumed with the present and all the challenges. But it's lovely to revisit your dreams and your aspirations and your achievements and even your failures and accept where you are at present. And the second reason being, it's really great to see parents, bond, this for the kids to see that their parents are bonding in ways that don't involve them, because it plays a huge role in the relationships that they forge as adults. So what were my other coping mechanisms that I used in early years of motherhood? When I look back, it was largely music. Piano and voice were 2 skills I added on without even realizing. And it was so starkly different from my training in microbiology. I had a fairly decent voice. So I joined the church choir. I was heavily pregnant with my second baby at the time. And I really looked forward to those rehearsals. They were once a week at 9 p.m. after the kids were asleep. And that continued for 5 years. So apart from me getting a much needed break, it also made me aware of a new level of my ability to sing. It was really the golden era of voice for me. I took up piano lessons at the same time as the kids did. And it was such fun learning together. I was training my voice at the time, and soon I was singing with 2 renowned choirs, the Newman Choir and the Paranjoti Academy Chorus, each of them exposing me to different learnings. And I was dealing with different sets of people other than just kids and home stuff. It also gave me the opportunity to travel and to perform in concerts in India and abroad from performing for the President of India at the Rashtrapati Bhavan to the international concerts that I performed in at the House of Columns in Moscow, and introduced me to the wonderful world of opera, singing in 5 beautiful operas, both in India and Sri Lanka. And my kids became a part of my musical journey. They accompanied me wherever they could, whenever they could. My daughter was in her first international opera with me at the age of 12, which I am sure has fueled her love for musical theater that she's so passionate about. And it also saw my son play piano and, bass guitar as he grew older. So now, with my kids away at school the whole day, I wanted to use my time more productively. And I was quite clear that I did not want to go back into research, nor did I want to teach formal higher education. An NGO called Akanksha, it worked with underprivileged kids after school, and it needed volunteer teachers. And I decided to give it a try. It worked fine for me because I was home before the kids got back from school. And I was teaching. I was back to teaching, and I so loved it. So without realizing, I saw that this was the start of my involvement with NGOs in the education sector as a volunteer. And every evening I shared my experiences with the family, and we sat at the dinner table together. And sometimes I would be so shaken, just realizing how much we take for granted in our lives. Now, little did I know that, these sharings were having a positive impact on my family. And it was laying down the foundation for both my husband and kids to give off their time, their skills, money to the social sector in the years to come. In my mid-40s, I saw my kids beginning to get curious about their bodies and were learning a lot on the school bus. Now, see, we as parents, we take great pains in empowering our kids with a good education and the best classes to develop their faculties, outside of school. But somehow we leave them to figure out on their own the understanding of self, the transitions that go through, during puberty, the navigating through adolescent years, which can be quite trying for both kids and parents. And I know for a fact that being at home gave me many such opportunities for lots of conversations with the kids when they were very, very young. I always believed in being open and as honest in my answers to them, and being conscious to listen to them, to their problems, to their concerns. And I tried to do that without judgment. And to date, we have such lovely open conversations that are such fun, and they're inspiring, and I learned so much more. So they were comfortable to come and ask me questions, but where were their peers going? This made me decide to speak to their friends through the school setup. Of course, I had to take the permission of my kids, who themselves were entering puberty at that time. But who knew that teaching human physiology during my doctoral studies would initiate my new passion years later, sex education. I started in one school, but soon the word spread, and I was teaching in schools all over Mumbai. It was absolutely eye-opening to see the lack of awareness was the result of unwanted and dangerous teenage behaviors that carried on with them into adulthood. So I focused on turning around the stigmatized and taboo topic of sex, making it fun and informative for not only kids, but parents and teachers. And I soon joined hands with the NGO Seeds of Awareness as their sex ed expert. And now we work across the country, and am on their faculty for a course we teach at the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, a first of its sort in the country. So unknowing to me, through silent observation, my journey laid the foundation for a lot of what my kids are today. And it's amazing to see that neither of my kids have pursued careers with huge monetary gains. I remember a family holiday volunteering in the remote schools of Pakistan and China on their borders, with an NGO, 17,000 Feet Foundation. It made the kids look at education, opportunity, privilege with a totally different lens. It inspired them, that when they were older, they went back to volunteer on their own. See, it was familiar territory as they had seen my involvement with the NGOs in education since they were very young. And it seems that they value life and its experiences with sensitivity and responsibility, which really has been the driver for my husband and me to join a movement, Living My Promise, where we have pledged 50% of our money to charity in our lifetime or on our demise. But we couldn't have taken this decision if the children did not agree to this. So as my 50s have creeped up on me, I sit on the boards of 2 education-based organizations, doing what I enjoy, teaching. And my work in social causes has always been pro bono. Ironically, so is the job of being a full-time mom, totally undervalued because she's not paid. We have normalized this gender role. It is expected of you, and therefore you don't question it. You just do it. But, the investment is tremendous. It's something that gives you a warm feeling that reaps its benefits in human form. And for me, keeping my resolve to be with my kids in their growing up years made me happy. And something I will never regret. It was key to evolving me into the person that I am today. And it also helped me cope with the void when my kids left for college. I don't think I would have been able to do a quarter of what I did, or I still do, had I been in a regular 9-to-5 job. So from continuing to keep fit through yoga and running marathons and cycling and diving or jumping out of planes, to teaching and singing and fundraising and mentoring youth, and also experiencing the joy of developing my creative skills in carpentry and gardening, I really did not lose myself being a stay-at-home mom. So I ask every mom who wants to be there for their kids by staying at home, can you break the stereotype and follow your passion? Maybe ask yourself the question, what really makes me happy? And how best can I pursue that happiness? Thank you.